Good morning, world, and welcome to Some Civil War Poetry. My name is Vincent Hannum, coming to you live 7:30 Central Standard Time from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Welcome. I hope you all had a great weekend. I certainly did. Looking forward to another week here on Earth. I'm going to read some poetry, maybe do some some very basic limited analysis uh myself in the next 10-15 minutes. So what I'm really excited for, so we got one more week left of reading this anthology. After that, I've got some wheels turning already, gonna maybe launch into the next iteration of this show, maybe a podcast. So hold on to your butts and stay tuned for that sort um, of iteration, and that I'm excited about, and you should be too, because we'll have more than one person talking about poetry, more than one person reading about poetry, so we can have some real deep dives. Maybe the show lasts 30 minutes, that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but the past month has been super grand, and I just want to keep reading poetry from this era and explore some other voices as well. So, this book is called Poetry of the Civil War. It's divided into two halves, Union and Confederate. Each morning, I've been reading one poem from either side, doing some comparing and contrasting. We've gone over some great poets, Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson. Today we are visiting another poet we have featured on the show, another individual who is well known in American literature. His name is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and he wrote a poem called Christmas Bells. So I guess it's Christmas time. And Longfellow lived from 1807 to 1882, was born in Portland, Maine. He was educated at Bowdoin College in Brunswick, where he became a professor. After later accepting an appointment at Harvard, he relocated to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and lived there the rest of his life in a house that had been occupied by George Washington during the American Revolution. Longfellow was the most famous and well-loved American poet of his day. Among his more popular works are Evangeline, A Tale of Acadie, 1847, and The Song of Hiawatha, 1855. An ardent abolitionist, Longfellow's writings on the war, indeed the remainder of his life, were overshadowed by the horrific death of his second wife from burns suffered in a fire during the second month of the conflict. Wow, I did not know that about Longfellow. That's sad. um, and perhaps there's more to that. So, anyways, with the context of his life in a nutshell, here is Christmas Bells. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day, a voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then from each black, accursed mouth, the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. It was as if an earthquake rent the hearthstones of a continent, and made forlorn the households born of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail. of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Aw. I think that poem just about sums up where we are at with the Civil War. In the beginning, both sides were very optimistic that this wouldn't last long, that they were that they had this total romantic notion of the war. We're gonna go fight for glory, and then by the end, it's kind of dawn. It's fully set in that war is hell and life sucks. So I think Christmas Bells exemplifies what Longfellow is feeling. This total full of faith. But then by the end, he's like, "Wow, no, life sucks. Despair is ruling. There is no peace on earth. How can there be?" But then what happens at the end? Those bells ring, and he's reminded that the everlasting creed that the wrong shall fail, the right prevail. So I don't know. Kind of makes you think about life in general. So, moving on to our second poem of the day, it is called Dreaming in the Trenches. It is by a poet named William Gordon McCabe. And Mr. McCabe is another poet we have featured on the show. His bio reads much shorter. He lived from 1841 to 1920. Was born in Richmond, Virginia. Following the state's withdrawal from the Union, he left his studies to enlist in the Confederate Army. A private in the Army of Northern Virginia, he soon rose to the rank of captain. At the end of the hostilities, he returned to Virginia. He was the author of several books and edited several anthologies, including Ballads of Battle and Bravery. Excuse me, folks. Monday morning is hitting me hard. No Excuse, Dreaming of the Trenches by William Gordon McCabe. I picture her there in the quaint old room where the fading firelight starts and falls, alone in the twilight's tender gloom with the shadows that dance on the dim-lit walls. Alone while those faces look silently down from their antique frames in a grim repose. Slight scholarly Ralph in his Oxford gown and staunch Sir Alan who died for Montrose. There are gallants gay in crimson and gold. There are smiling beauties with powdered hair. But she sits there, fairer a thousandfold, leaning dreamily back in her low armchair. And the roseate shadows of fading light softly clear steal over the sweet young face, where a woman's tenderness blends tonight with the guileless pride of a knightly race. Her hands lie clasped in a listless way on the old romance, which she holds on her knee, of Tristram, the bravest of knights in the fray, and Iseult, who waits by the sounding sea. And her proud dark eyes wear a softened look, as she watches the dying embers fall. Perhaps she dreams of the knight in the book, perhaps of the pictures that smile on the wall. What fancies, I wonder, are thronging her brain, for her cheeks flush warm with a crimson glow. Perhaps, ah me, how foolish and vain, but I'd give my life to believe it so. Well, whether I ever march home again to offer my love and a stainless name, or whether I die at the head of my men, I'll be true to the end all the same. That is Dreaming in the Trenches, and this Johnny Reb is certainly dreaming. He's dreaming of his love, a fair woman, back at home reading by the firelight. He is dreaming of, himself as a knight, which I think is a theme that has come up every now and then in these Confederate poems. This sense of chivalry and knighthood. Which question for the class, or assignment for the class, if you want to go look for it? Did these? I get the sense that the this sense of chivalry and knighthood and this romantic way of heraldry that supposedly dominated Southern culture before the war, how much of that is due to a certain lost cause looking back with rose-colored glasses, or how much of it um, was legit, really contemporary? I think dreaming in the trenches is the answer. And I'm just going to take a quick second here. I would like to Google this because I think it might leave some answers. Because some of these poems have been written decades after the war, when some of that lost cause notion came into effect. So, there's how much of that. Ooh, someone already recorded an audio. How we doing on time? Oh, we're good. We're good. And hey, if you like this sort of thing, you're in it to win it. So yeah, we're just gonna take us a minute here. William. I'm just trying to find the year it was written. So hey, if you happen to be watching, go ahead and comment if you can find it before me. Ba-ba-da-ba-bam. That's funny. I typed in "Dreaming of the Trenches" poem, William Gordon McCabe, and this video came up in Google. So that's fun. If anyone else is searching those words, you might find this video. And a quick cursory glance leads me to not be finding it, which is fine. I could look it up later and come back at you tomorrow. So yeah, I won't waste your time anymore with that. But I will give you a preview of what we got coming up tomorrow morning. We have a poem called Laus Dio. I know I completely butchered that. It's Laus Deo. So Laudeo, Laus Deo. I sound weird. So I will also look up how to pronounce that. But that poem is by John Greenleaf Whittier, our very first poet. If you wanted to go all the way back and watch that one. And our Confederate poem of the day will be called "Your Letter, Lady, Came Too Late." Ooh, that one is just saturated with sadness. "Your Letter, Lady, Came Too Late" by W.S. Hawkins. The book is Poetry of the Civil War. This is some Civil War poetry. Subscribe for all the alerts and updates. We got one more week, baby. Let's go. Have a great Monday.